The chandeliers shimmered like molten gold above the grand ballroom of the Royal Crest Hotel, casting a warm glow over crystal glasses and whispered deals worth millions. The city's most powerful names filled the room, politicians, investors, celebrities, but at the center of it all sat Adrian Volkov, the youngest CEO in the country to build a billion-dollar tech empire from nothing. Calm, sharp, unreadable. His tailored charcoal suit fit him like armor, and the faint smirk on his lips suggested he was always 10 steps ahead. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, his company's biggest merger yet. A toast was being prepared in his honor. Cameras flashed. Rivals watched. Partners smiled too wide. And then she appeared. Her name tag read Elena, just another waitress in a crisp white blouse and red skirt, blending into the rhythm of the evening. But her hands were trembling. As she approached Adrian's table with a tray of champagne, her breathing grew shallow. She placed the glass in front of him, her fingers brushing the rim for half a second too long. Then, in one swift, almost invisible motion, she slipped a folded note beneath his hand. No one noticed. No one except Adrian. He glanced at her face, pale, urgent, eyes filled with something that wasn't fear for herself. It was fear for him. Slowly, without changing his expression, he opened the note under the table. 5 words. Don't drink it. Leave now. The room erupted in applause as someone tapped a fork against a glass, calling for silence. A toast to Adrian Volkov. Cheers followed. All eyes turned to him as he lifted the champagne flute. Elena's heart pounded so loudly she was sure someone would hear it. For a second, time froze. Adrian studied the golden liquid. Then instead of drinking, he calmly set the glass down. The crowd laughed lightly, thinking he was building suspense. But Adrian stood. He reached out suddenly, not for the glass, but for Elena's wrist. Gasps rippled across the table. His grip wasn't harsh, but firm enough to stop her from stepping away. He looked up at her, eyes sharp and piercing. "Who told you?" he asked quietly, his voice low enough that only she could hear. Elena swallowed. "There's no time," she whispered. "Please. Just trust me." Across the room, a man in a navy suit subtly lowered his phone. Another guest shifted uncomfortably. Adrian noticed everything. He always did. His jaw tightened. Instead of letting go, he stood taller and raised his voice just enough to cut through the noise. "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I need a moment." The music faltered. Murmurs spread. With his hand still holding Elena's, he walked, calmly, confidently, toward the private exit corridor behind the ballroom. Cameras tried to follow, but security stepped in. The second the doors closed behind them, Adrian's demeanor shifted. "Explain," he demanded. Elena's composure cracked. "I was in the service hallway. I heard 2 men talking. They said the drink was dosed. Not to kill you, just enough to make you collapse. A scandal. Stocks would crash. Your rivals would take control before morning." Adrian's expression darkened, but he wasn't surprised. Power always came with enemies. "Did you see them?" he asked. She nodded. "One of them was at table 12. Adrian exhaled slowly. "You realize if you're wrong, you've just ended your job, and possibly my merger." Tears welled in her eyes. "I know. But if I'm right, you could lose everything." There it was. Courage. Not ambition. Not manipulation. Just raw, selfless courage. Adrian studied her for a long second, then pulled out his phone and typed a single message. Within minutes, his head of security replied. The champagne glass was discreetly tested. Positive for a fast-acting sedative. Not lethal, but devastating. Adrian looked back at Elena. "You just saved my company," he said quietly. Relief flooded her face, but it was short-lived. "They'll know it was me," she whispered. "I'm just a waitress. I can't fight men like that." Adrian's eyes hardened with resolve. "You won't have to." He opened the corridor door again, his expression once more controlled and unreadable. The celebration resumed awkwardly, unaware of how close it had come to disaster. Adrian walked straight to table 12. The man in the navy suit paled. Security moved in seamlessly. No shouting. No drama. Just quiet removal. The rest would be handled legally and ruthlessly. An hour later, the ballroom buzzed again, but this time with rumors of Adrian's sudden change in schedule. The merger would continue. The threat was neutralized. And Elena stood alone in the service area, wondering if she'd just destroyed her ordinary life. Footsteps approached. She turned and froze. Adrian stood there, jacket draped over his arm. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. "Actually," he replied, "I should have met you sooner." She blinked, confused. He held out a small card. "Not a business card, a contract. I need people around me who aren't afraid to do what's right, even when it costs them. Come work for me. Executive Security Liaison. Training included." Her mouth fell open. I don't have that kind of experience." Adrian's lips curved into the faintest smile. "You have instinct. Integrity. And bravery. Skills I can't buy." She hesitated. "Why me?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Because when everyone else was raising a glass to my success, you were the only one trying to protect my life." Silence hung between them, heavy but electric. "So," he added, extending his hand once more, but this time not to stop her. "Will you walk out with me?" Elena looked at the grand ballroom one last time, the glitter, the noise, the false smiles. Then she placed her hand in his. "Yes." And just like that, the waitress who slipped a note became the woman who changed a CEO's destiny. But this was only the beginning. Because enemies don't disappear overnight. They regroup. They retaliate. And when they do, Elena won't be standing behind a tray, she'll be standing beside Adrian. If this chapter kept you on the edge of your seat, imagine what happens next. Power. Betrayal. Loyalty. And a connection neither of them expected. Don't miss the next twist in this unforgettable journey. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and be part of a community that loves powerful stories of courage, ambition, and unexpected love. The next chapter might just change everything.